here are some phrases that no one likes to hear. Hey, we need to talk. Listen, it's not you, it's me. Or when you apply to that job that you desperately want and read that email that says, thank you for applying to the job position that you're overqualified for. And despite being impressed by your resume, regrettably, we will not be moving forward with your application. It stings, right? But I want to talk today about the first phrase. We need to talk. Now, I don't know about you, but when I used to hear the phrase, we need to talk, it would send me into this full body panic. Like a knees weak, arms are heavy, possibly vomit on my sweater already type of panic. And I would immediately start to think about all the things that they could possibly want to talk to me about. What did I do wrong? And if I was brought into a court of law where I could say, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent until proven guilty, or Your Honor, I plead the fifth. But my anxiety would skyrocket when I'd find out that the phrase, we need to talk, wasn't to discuss who left the toothpaste out, but to decide the future of a friendship or a relationship. So if you're anything like me, before doing anything nowadays, the first thing you do is to go to Google or ChatGPT. So let's be honest. What do you get when you type in how to have a difficult conversation into these tools? I'll tell you. You get 1,000,001 tips and tricks that pretty much all say the same thing. Just be honest. Stay calm. Use I statements. And while that advice isn't necessarily wrong, it's just not helpful when you're inside of that full body panic. So what do we end up doing instead? We end up pushing that conversation, and we avoid having it because it's uncomfortable. And when we avoid having difficult conversations, those feelings, those unspoken emotions, they begin to ferment into this smelly, putrid cocktail of anxiety, fear, and awkwardness. A cocktail that, by the way, I don't recommend ordering tonight. So as life would have it, the inspiration for this talk came last year during a 2-week stretch where I was basically in the difficult conversation Olympics. And I was going for gold. In the span of 2 weeks, I needed to deliver bad news to our biggest client. I needed to disagree with my manager on some projects, and I needed to have the talk with the girl I was dating. Yeah, this talk. And I had to do all of that during my final exam season for my master's degree in data science. So can someone talk about exposure therapy? And it was in the midst of all of that chaos that I was up late one night training a model for my final project when it finally hit me. The same way that machine learning models learn to make better decisions is actually not that different to how we humans can learn to have better difficult conversations. So today I want to take you very quickly through the 3 steps of machine learning model training and teach you how to build your own difficult conversation algorithm. So let's get started. Our first step in building our algorithm is data collection. Finish this sentence. Garbage in, garbage out. In order to train machine learning models, the training data that you use must be clean. The moment your training data contains noisy or biased data, your model is going to produce inaccurate results. And when preparing for a difficult conversation, if you go into it with these emotions and assumptions, or even worse, misinformation, congratulations, you are in for a disaster conversation. But I know what you're thinking. Nick, how on earth is data collection going to help me have a better, difficult conversation? I'll tell you. It's about making sure that the data you are collecting is clean. To best illustrate this, I want you all to imagine that you and I are dating. That's right. I'm dating you, and you as the audience are dating me. You guys got it? Okay, cool. So, now that we're dating, I have some bad news. I forgot our anniversary. No text, no flowers, not even an Instagram post, nothing. I know, listen, we're off to a bad start, but here's the thing. Me forgetting our anniversary is simply a data point, and that's it. That's the raw fact. Now, based on your reactions, here's the thing. Just like machine learning models, our brains work overtime to try and make sense of the data. So making sense of the data in this scenario may sound something like this. Oh, so we're just gonna forget important dates now, huh? Which can then quickly turn into but wait, how could you forget our anniversary? Which can then quickly spiral into Nick, do you love me? Do you even like me? Did you see what you did there? You went from data to drama, plotting the data points towards the absolute worst case scenario. Just like biased data can skew a model, personal bias can distort difficult conversations. You'll notice you all assigned meaning and assumptions to a scenario in which I gave no proof that I love you less. So how can we avoid these assumptions yet still get to the root of the issue? You achieve this through asking clarifying questions. When you ask clarifying questions, you put your data through a filter, stripping away emotions and biases that we attach to scenarios just by default. And by asking clarifying questions, we are able to separate fact from feeling and achieve clarity for more effective discussions. Our next step in building our algorithm is to choose our model wisely. In machine learning, a model is a framework that uses data to make decisions. The best data teams in the world are extremely meticulous in ensuring that their models are going to meet their objective. Think about the fastest growing companies in the world. They are deploying capital and talent and everything in their way to reach their objective. And difficult conversations are no different. Whether you're going into a difficult conversation, whether you are giving or on the receiving end of a difficult conversation, it is critical to define the conversation objective. What is the end goal of the conversation that we're having? And once you have that conversation objective, you must protect it at all costs. So, you guys remember our relationship from earlier? The one where I'm a bad boyfriend? Yeah. So let's agree on a conversation objective. And it's to save our relationship. Because clearly, our relationship needs a little saving. So I want you to imagine that it's 9 p.m., the night of our anniversary. We're sitting on a wooden bench overseeing the New York City skyline. This is your favorite spot to eat your favorite snack, Dubai chocolate crepes. And your favorite spot to yap the night away. Here's a small problem. Tonight, there are no Dubai chocolate crepes. And there's definitely no yapping because you're angry and you're upset. And in that moment, you decide to blurt out, "So, I guess I don't matter to you anymore." And in that moment, logic and reasoning leave the room and emotions completely take over. And you decide, we're here. We might as well just sink the ships and bring up the fact that you never take out the dog. You forgot my mom's birthday 3 years ago and how you never, ever take the dishes out the dishwasher. And in that moment, our conversation objective and our relationship are out the window. But imagine if you paused and protected the conversation objective. And instead of choosing violence, you decided to say something like this. "Hey, Nick, I've noticed you've forgotten our anniversary, and I'm really upset. But for me, it's not about the flowers or a fancy dinner. It's about making these moments matter. Can we please talk about how this won't happen again? Did you guys hear that? Did you guys see the difference and notice the difference? That instead of sinking the ships, you all decided to build a bridge that contains one of the most effective tools in conflict resolution, the opportunity to save face. When you remove accusatory statements like, I guess I don't matter to you anymore, you allow the opportunity for the offender, me in this case, an opportunity to explain, justify, and rectify my behavior. Because in difficult conversations, you don't just need the right words. You need the right objective. Our third and final step in our difficult conversation algorithm is to fine-tune the model. Machine learning models rarely work on the first deployment. They require fine-tuning, which is defined simply as extensive testing and the repetition of the first two steps. Upon fine-tuning, you begin to see how models behave with certain features and certain applications. However, that knowledge can't be downloaded. It's only learned. And you can only learn it through rounds of testing, and more testing. And difficult conversations are no different. Whether in life or in relationships, it is critical to learn to have difficult, small conversations often so you can fine-tune and adapt when larger and more complex conversations come into your life. So, remember that string of difficult conversations that I had? The ones where I had to deliver bad news to our biggest client, where I had to disagree with my manager on a project, and where I had to end the relationship with the girl I was dating. Let me ask you a question. Which of these conversations do you think was the hardest to have? I'll tell you. None of them. The hardest conversation was actually the one with myself. That's right. In order for me to have these difficult conversations, I first needed to have the conversation with myself. But I told myself stories to avoid the discomfort. I avoided it with clients because what if they leave? I avoided it with my manager because what if I get let go? And I avoided it with my girlfriend because what if I don't find someone else? Those thoughts are not just thoughts. They are stories. Stories comprised of data that is training your vocabulary, your choices, and your confidence. It's training your internal large language model. And if you don't learn to fine-tune those stories will keep you stuck. So I want you to become aware of the stories that you are telling yourself. And in what areas are you saying, oh, I can't do that. No, I can't do that because I'm just a girl. I can't do that because I'm just an immigrant. No, I can't do that because of whatever story you're telling yourself. I want to remind you that fear, that anxiety, and that insecurity, that's all part of the human experience. That is the part AI cannot replicate. That voice in your head that's trying to keep you safe. But how much longer will you confuse being safe with being stuck? The next time you are in a difficult conversation, ask yourself, if I don't speak now, what story am I letting win? And in that moment, you will knock down the first domino, starting a domino effect in your life and those around you, breaking generations of silence and rewriting the rules that you and I were told to live by. So I'd like to leave you with this. Look at your own life and look at the areas that you may feel out of balance. Could it be your health, your finances, your relationships, your mental health, or a combination of these. I want you to audit these areas and don't kid yourself. Audit yourself to the highest standard and ask, what difficult conversations do I need to have with others or with myself to improve these areas? And lastly, I want to invite you to see the discomfort of a difficult conversation simply as mislabeled excitement. So yeah, I said it. I actually want you to look forward to your next difficult conversation. I want you to go from, oh, this is weird and awkward, to, yes, I am so excited to learn from this. Because over time and with consistency, you will become unafraid of having uncomfortable conversations. And when you become unafraid, you will unlock a new version of you, a new algorithm, a new operating system, a new version of you that will be unshakable in the midst of chaos, a version of you that will move towards truth even when it's uncomfortable, a version of you that will value relationships over performance. Because in this world today, that is what we need now more than ever. Learning to have difficult conversations saved my life. Learning to do so can save yours. You cannot automate difficult conversations, but you can train yourself to get better at them. And I promise you, your best life is on the other side of that difficult conversation. My name is Nick Fuentes. Thank you for coming. Have a great night. Thank you.